Hey everybody, welcome to TYT Sports. I'm Ben Mankiewicz. This is the NFL playoff recap brought to you by the Vizio P-Series 4K Ultra HD Smart TVs. Jake Huger, Michael Shore here as well. The Sunday games, one not interesting, one supremely interesting, but there were some interesting things about the Colts and the Bengals. Marvin Lewis is now 0-6 in the playoffs. Andy Dalton now 0-4. Somehow, it's hard for me to imagine that the first two Marvin Lewis playoff losses were with, one of them was in 2005, was with Carson Palmer. Like Carson Palmer and Marvin Lewis, that seems like a different generation of Bengals. But his first two were with Carson Palmer, his last four with Andy Dalton. And the games, like I feel like 26-10 was the final score of all 6 games.
So, the question then, of course, is Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton, are they losers? Let's just keep it real. That's the conversation, right?
Is that the conversation?
Yes. And my answer is surprisingly, no. The jury's out. Jury's out.
All right, so it's not really no.
No, yes, they're out to lunch. They're still talking about it. They've been talking about it for 6 years now.
Very long delivery.
That's right. So, look, there's not much positive to say about Andy Dalton in the playoffs, but having said that, they've been in the playoffs 4 straight years. So if let's say I'm the Bengals owner, I'm a little frustrated that Marvin Lewis can't get it across the goal line, to use a horrible analogy here. But at the same time, I mean, these Bengals teams are not world-beating. They're not the best offensive line. They're not the best defense. They're not the best anything. And he keeps bringing them into the playoffs and maybe doing the best that he can, right?
He's sort of overachieving, but overachieving can only get you so far.
Right. They need to get a couple of better players. Now, having said that, I think Indianapolis is going to win either way because I think Indianapolis is a really good team. I think they got a great coach. I think they have one of the best quarterbacks. These things are obvious. But let's be fair to the Bengals. Their best player was out. And not only was their best player, A.J. Green, not only definitely top 3, maybe you can make an argument for number 1. You probably wouldn't win the argument, but one of the best receivers in the National Football League is out. You remove your best player, that's hard to win. It just has Pittsburgh, right? And then number 2, their whole receiving squad was decimated. Gresham is out. Then earlier you had their Marvin.
So they didn't win because Jermaine Gresham was out?
No, but Jones is out. The other kids out. 4 different receivers are out. Your top and only receivers, a guy named Mohammed. Okay, I mean, you better pray to Allah because it's hard to win with that squad.
You're allowed to make that
You're
joke.
forgetting Greg Little. Yeah, I mean, he had nobody to throw to, but their best player was out because their quarterback was out. They need a better quarterback on that team. I think that's the issue. They can only go so far, I think, with this quarterback.
So Andy Dalton for Jay Cutler. There's a quality to Andy Dalton which sort of makes him lovable, which might even work a little in Chicago. And he makes fewer mistakes, more of a game manager, and they have serious weapons there. Now, granted, A.J. Green also a serious weapon. But Jay Cutler, in the total irrelevancy that is Cincinnati, might do okay. It might be the perfect place for him to have the bounce-back year that will enable another team to give him a giant contract.
Well, I
like the whole concept of that trade.
No matter what we say, Andy Dalton is going to be a Bengal the rest of his life because his hair matches the uniform too well.
Perfectly.
Marvin Lewis telling the Cincinnati Enquirer, it's my plan to return. It's not about me. It's about our football team, wherever our football team is. Nobody says that about a basketball team or a baseball team. It's only football team that's spoke of like that. The mostly players backing him up. So nothing in there from Mike Brown, who is, one forgets, they've had, for them, a great deal of success. They have never spent like other teams. They've always been a second-rate organization. My hunch is for the Bengals ownership, they feel like this is success, and one year maybe we'll get lucky and win a game. Only other coach to lose his first 6 playoff games, Jim Morris Sr. Lost his first 6, and he went on to win 3 Super Bowls. So who knows? Next week, Colts, Broncos. We did this on the other segment after the Saturday games. Like, put a percentage. Like here, Panthers in Seattle, percentage likelihood of victory is 0. Right? It's 0. It cannot happen. The Ravens, though, have some possibility. Feel like beating the Patriots. Colts in Denver, percentage.
55% chance.
Oh, bet they're a bit more than likely to win.
That's right.
That's your Peyton Manning will blow a big game.
Yep, and he'll blow it to Chuck Pagano, who will take several risks, some of which will pay off. and they'll come in strong.
I think you're wrong. I think your percentage is wrong, but I think it's reasonable. I think there's like a 37% chance.
I think 32%.
But that's crazy. It's 37.
I have to go back and look now that you said 37.
I don't see Chuck Pagano as a risk taker at all, and I feel like he is very safe, very conservative, which worked out just fine in this game. But a couple of chances to go for the jugular, and he didn't. I mean, Andrew Luck throwing the ball in that situation was safe. Andrew Luck is not throwing a terrible interception. It just isn't. And he was, I thought, incredibly safe in that game. He's never going to get criticized for it because it turned out it didn't matter. But he'll be safe when it's an 8-point lead, and you ought not be safe.
I think the running game is going to be what undoes the Colts in Denver. And I know that Bam Herron and everybody likes him, and he put the ball on the ground. He's a rookie going into Denver and all of that. Possible. I just think that they don't have enough of a diverse offense to beat the Broncos. So I think that's what's going to hurt them.
I think that Herron's a pretty good player, and I think if he doesn't fumble, he was on way to maybe a 200-yard total offense game.
And Trent Richardson, again, will be healthy, so they'll have two. I mean, not that he's...
Well, that'll hurt the
I hope
Colts.
Trent Richardson, for their sake, is not healthy.
Well, but what I'm saying is they'll have different options with Trent Richardson.
The guy at the end of the game. No, I don't want any part of Trent Richardson. Shouldn't be on the field. Shouldn't be on any field. Shouldn't even picnic. One thing that I loved about Chuck Pagano was that there was after the game, he gives out the game balls. He's giving a speech. They're excited. They just want to play.
He gave it to A.J. Green?
He gave all to A.J. Green, totally. That's what it made it an easy day. He gave one to Adam Vinatieri, kicked 4 field goals, 61 years old, the oldest kicker, right, And he gives one to Vinatieri, and then he says, he's got another ball for the game ball, and he holds it up, and he says, remember, guys, we got to protect this. This is the most important thing we have. He goes, and that said, man, 150 total yards, big touchdown to give us the lead, game ball to Boom Herron. And so, like he was saying, you don't fumble. And I took you out for it, but I'm giving you the game ball. And Herron came up sort of like, I can't believe I fumbled twice and we lost one. And he gave him, and then Pagano gives him a big hug in front of everybody, and everybody shit. It was his way of saying, hey man, you're playing next week, but do not fumble.
It was his way of saying, don't get us wrong, we know Trent Richardson sucks. So please don't fumble next week.
But I loved, that was a really nice sort of guy football moment, and a great thing, I thought, for Chuck Pagano to do. All right, thanks for watching TYT Sports, everybody. Michael Schur, Cenk Uygur, Ben Mankiewicz. This was the NFL Playoffs Recap, brought to you by the Vizio P-Series 4K Ultra HD Smart TVs.